Welcome back. A live look here into Juarez, Mexico, where the homicide rate is going down. So here's an interesting statistic for you. The daily average number of victims to homicide was nearly 87 in September of 2024. Now comes down to about 54 in October of 2025. 26 Mexican states posting a reduction in crime. This is according to the Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum.
Yeah, this all coming as law enforcement in Mexico, they are seeking to crack down on crime in the country. In particular, they have been seeking to bring down the amount of homicides. And for that, border correspondent Jaeson Jones live with more on how law enforcement in Mexico managed to pull this off. And even that number, though, to Jaeson, looking at it, that is that's a high number, a daily number like that, a homicide rate.
Sean, Emma, it's good to be with you. Sorry about that helicopter flying over just then. Listen, it's really nice to be reporting good news when it comes to crimes going down, not only in our own country at the southwest border, but in Mexico. And the reason we monitor what's happening in Mexico, because as you guys know, I've always said what happens there directly impacts us. Now, yesterday, President Sheinbaum highlighted some of her achievements through the national security strategy that they have going on in Mexico. Take a look at what she had to say.
Y la otra.
And the other, zero impunity. There are 37,000 generators of violence who have been arrested in these 13 months throughout the Republic. How has this been achieved? By strengthening the intelligence, investigation, and coordination strategy.
And I can tell you guys, here's the key takeaway from this. In a 13-month period under her administration, they have dropped homicides by 37%. Look, that's 32 lives a day in Mexico being saved. You heard them talk a lot about these 37,000 arrests that they're making against what they call violence generators. That's where Secretary Harfuch, one of the key components in Mexico, who is directly targeting these individuals, working with the cartels who've been causing the amount of violence that we've been seeing in Mexico. But all of that plays out to us directly, and it's very important to talk about that. That's why we've had a 57% reduction in in fentanyl seizures at the southwest border. In the United States now, we've seen a 24.5% reduction in overdoses. And that's just through April. And I can only give you that data because the CDC data is so outdated. So the numbers are really much higher. And I can't wait to be able to report that information. But here's where the real key is. And it's President Trump's policies. You got to give the man credit here, what's happening. Look, the total elimination policy overlaid with the foreign terrorism designation on these cartels all the way down to South America, it is working. The data validates that it's working, but it's also holding accountability many of these countries all the way to South America. We've seen a lot of changes. It's not just been with Mexico. We've seen the rise of the cocaine from South American cartels, and you saw President Trump immediately hit that. These adjustments and tweaks really matter. Otherwise, we'd be seeing a massive influx of cocaine, and we're not seeing that as a direct result of some of the policies. Don't be wrong. Some of the seizures are going up along the southwest border directly tied to cocaine, but it should be tremendously much higher as a direct result of the amount of it flowing in. Guys, back to you.
All right, border correspondent Jaeson Jones, obviously good news there, and hopefully those numbers continue to fall. Jaeson, thank you.